talk about ADU permits. If you're thinking of building an ADU, you're going to need a permit. Before you hire a contractor or start pouring concrete, watch this video, because if you get the permit part wrong, you could be hit with delays, fines, or even worse, forced to tear it all down. Today, I will walk you through the ADU permit process, what you need, how long it actually takes, and the big question, how much does it cost? Stick around to the end because I'll share 4 permit issues that cause the most delays in getting that permit approved. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Erin, and I'm a real estate agent passionate about alternative and affordable housing. I am creating content to help you learn about ADUs, tiny homes, and maximizing those smaller spaces. So what is an ADU permit and why does it matter? An ADU permit is your city's way of saying, yes, you're allowed to build this here and it's safe. When you pull permits and build an approved ADU, it becomes part of your official property record. Permits make sure your ADU follows local codes, which is important if you ever want to rent it out, refinance, or even sell your home later. A permit could also mean the difference in the financing that you get, the grants that you're eligible for, and maybe even those tax or energy credits. If you want more detailed information on ADU permits, I have a link in the description to the ADU handbook for California, and also an article I wrote on ADU permits and zoning. Now, where do you get an ADU permit? To apply for the permit, you're going to have to visit the office that handles the building permits, the planning, the zoning approvals. At this department, you should be able to get a list of the permits your project will need. Even if you weren't 100% sure of all the project specifics, you can get a list of the possible ones needed. Getting clarity on the permits in the beginning could help you decide the specifics of your project and save money in the long run. In some areas, cities have special programs to fast track the ADU permit approvals, so it is worth asking if your city has that type of streamlined ADU process. This could save you weeks or even months. Now, the not so secret tip, visit the planning department early in the project. Make friends with those people in the department, visit them in person, shake hands with them. That relationship could save you time, money, and sanity. Let's talk about the type of ADU permits you might need. Each project could require different permits, but some you might need are a building permit, an electrical permit, the plumbing permit, or maybe even that mechanical or energy permit. Besides those main building permits, you might need a few extras depending on your project and the area that it's in. This is true for places like California or those places that are close to the coast. Some of those other ones you might need: demolition permit, coastal development permit, a tree removal permit, or even drainage permit. Once you've visited the planning department, you'll know what's required for your project. And from there, you can figure out the specifics of your project and even tweak the project as needed. Once you know the permits you actually need, it's time to start gathering the supporting documentation to attach to those various permits. Some permit packages could be 40 pages long. It's not uncommon. Most cities are going to ask for the site plan, so exactly where your ADU will go on the property. They're going to need a floor plan of the ADU layout, the roof plan, maybe some elevations, the structural details. They might need some energy documents, solar plans if that's required, and possibly even a title report to show if there's any easements. So it's important to have your permit packet as complete as possible if you want the fastest approval. What about timelines? Let's talk about the ADU timelines. Once you've gathered all your documents and you're ready to submit them to the city's building department, they're going to take that packet and review everything just to make sure it meets the code. They've got all the documents there. They don't have any questions. And every area, they're going to have different timelines on how fast that they'll be able to review your package and give you that response back. So when you submit your packet, just ask them, what is the expectation on the approval timeline? Some places is a few days, some go several months. During the permit review, they're going to either approve it or send it back with corrections. If you get a list of corrections back, you don't need to panic. Most ADUs don't get approved on the first try. It's totally normal. You might go through 2 or 3 rounds of corrections. Once you have your permit package ready to resubmit with those corrections, that actually starts the clock over again. So this is how sometimes you hear those timelines being 4, 5, 6 months to get approval. Now, as promised, let's talk about those 4 common reasons an ADU permit might not get approved the first time. Because going round and round with the planning department and waiting several months is not going to be fun. The first reason is going to be a setback or a distance issue. So your ADU might actually be too close to a property line, a fence, the main house, a neighbor's structure of some sort. The second, drainage or grading plans. If your site doesn't show how water will drain safely away from the structures, they might not be able to approve your permit. The third, utility conflicts. Your design might actually sit on top of a sewer line, a water main, or some type of utility easement that could be an issue. Now, the fourth is just missing documents in general. If you've got other examples of permit issues, I want to hear about them. Drop me some comments. I want to know more about what's going on in your area. Now, let's talk money, because permits aren't free. Costs can vary a lot, depending on where the project is, how big it'll be, and then what your local city charges. In many areas, the permit and city fees can range anywhere from a few $100s to over $10,000. In some places, the ADU permit fees are capped or discounted in some way because they want to encourage building of ADUs in their area. If you're in California, ADUs under 750 square foot often avoid those big impact fees, which is a huge savings. Other areas might have their own incentives, so ask your building department. That's where that relationship comes in handy. Ask them, do you have any fee caps, any kind of waivers that you can apply for? And always make sure you get their list of fees in writing. If you're finding those fees online, print the page, save it for later. Trust me, it could be important. If you have any questions on how the fees work, visit the planning department in person, have that conversation. This is where that relationship really comes in handy. And I know what you're thinking, do I actually need the permit? Who will even know? Well, I'll tell you this, if you build without permits, you could risk really big fines, you could have trouble getting insurance, you could be forced to tear it down or even have issues later if you try to go and sell. So you just don't want to skip the permit process. I can't stress that enough. To wrap it up, permits are the key to building a legal and safe ADU. An approved ADU permit is like that golden ticket. Might take some time, gonna take paperwork, and it could take some patience, but they protect your project, they protect your future. What's your biggest questions about ADU permits? What do you want to know? Let me know in the comments. I might be able to make a future video around your question. If you found this video helpful, hit the like, subscribe, drop your questions in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out rearon.com. That's my website. I've got free guides, checklists, resources that could really help you with your project. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.